I don't feel pressure that I had to be good all the time, because even like the biggest influencers or the biggest content creator in the world has vlog video. Some negative people are more louder than positive people. So if they have very critical opinion about you, they might be loud, but there's not the representative of everybody. I posted something controversial and I didn't know that it was controversial until I posted about it. It didn't feel really good to have a lot of people like backlash.
Welcome to Before We Get There, the podcast where we explore people's journeys, how they got to where they are, what keeps them pushing forward, and where they eventually want to get to. I'm your host, Nicholas Brayman, and today I'm joined by Bo T from Bowie Honey Baby. Bo is a content creator on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok alongside her full-time corporate job. We talk about her journey from growing up in Thailand, going to school in Japan, and now working in Singapore, how she became a go-to creator for Thais interested in Singapore, dealing with negativity and online safety, and much more. Enjoy the show. Hi, Bo. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi, Nick. Hi everyone.
Great to have you on the show. What I wanted to start off with is you have an Instagram account and a TikTok that you post on a lot of everything from food, travel, your sports and hobbies and funny trends. What are your favorite kind of posts to make? What do you enjoy doing?
To be honest, I just made my Instagram, TikTok and everything just like my personal diary. I didn't really... So when I first started, it was just to record my life when I'm overseas. So my friends and family back home will be able to know what is happening, what's going on with my life. And yeah, it just is about my personal lifestyle. It doesn't really call myself a creator, but I just feel like it's a place that I can share what I'm doing. So people who know me from the beginning know what's going on. But now it's just more people who wants to know about me, which is great. The thing that I really like creating, I don't know, maybe like just when I've discovered something new or some trendy things that I do it. Just recently, my friends at the office, like they came and tell me like, oh, I have been following your hair routine. It's because I'm gonna go for a long travel for a bit, and I don't want to carry my hair curler, which is chunky and huge. So I try to find something that I can use as a heatless curl, something like that. And it just post about it online, and people message me like, I want to try that too. Or someone even send a pictures of something like, you can try this one, which is like a journey.
That's cool. Yeah, your hair does look nice, first of all.
Thank you.
So I can see why they'd say that. And then I also, it sounds quite familiar actually to me, because I'm similar. I moved to Singapore about 11 years ago, and that's the only reason I ever get on Facebook is because there's people back home who still use Facebook, especially my dad and kind of the older generation that's still uses Facebook a lot. But as you've been posting more and sharing your stories, you have a public profiling more people that maybe you don't know from real life or from in-person life are following you or commenting on your posts. What do you feel about that? Does it make you want to post more or reach more people?
It's a backstory of all content creations, right? So previously, I started when I first moved to Singapore to like post. I created a Facebook page, which is another Facebook page. It's called Boring Singapore, but it's in Thai, right? So the background story of this is because before I moved to Singapore, I was in Bangkok. I was in a creative agency, so I work with clients' brands to come up with social media content and community management online. And even before that, I studied in Japan, and I had a blog spot. So people follow me, my parents follow me, my friends follow me. And I feel like I enjoy content creations quite a bit. So even from there, even from Blogspot time, people will randomly found me. Or even when I moved to Singapore, I have the page called Boring Singapore, sharing about my life or whatever Singapore focus, about Singapore, like more full lifestyle things to do and all that. And I got a lot of people in Thai, right? The Boring Singapore page. And one thing that made me quite proud, so it's not that big, it's like 30,000 followers, but it's in Thai, so it's quite limited. I went back home 2 weeks ago and then I met one of my friends and he said, oh, everybody who moved to Singapore, everybody who's Thai or everybody who like curious about Singapore would know your page, which made me like, oh, okay, at least what thing that I create for fun benefit people who live here. They find good new restaurant, they find good new activities to do. So I feel like I enjoy doing it and I have more feel to create more and more. And I still doing it. It has been 9 years that I keep posting on that, which is, yeah, I still keep continue doing it. Sometimes I feel like I have nothing to do to post, but I still find something to post.
That's really fun when you get that feedback from people. So, like you mentioned just now, sometimes you might not know what to post or don't have any idea off the top of your head. Does it feel like pressure when you know that people are looking at your page? 30K is not a small amount of people to follow the page.
So I don't feel pressure at all because I feel like content creation is my hobby. And sometimes you need to be true to yourself and you need to be true to your followers or people who follow you. Just tell them like, oh, I'll be slow at this moment. Or sometimes when I have to go for a long travel, which I have already scheduled a post, that I'm going to go for a long travel for a month. Please expect less content from me, but please don't forget about me. I'll be back. Something like that. Just be upfront with them and be who you are and be honest about them. So if you have, and another thing that I learned for content creation is sometimes you have a lot more content. Just stack them, schedule them in advance. So you still have content and consistency. You have the consistent for the content to be published rather than push them 10 content in one day because, I had 10 things to say. But just make it more organized so that you won't run out of ideas anymore. Yeah, at all.
That's cool. And with a lot of Thai people and people back home knowing about your page, do you ever get negative feedback from anybody, friends or family or coworkers? Why are you posting so much? You're sharing everything with the whole world. Or is everybody supportive of you?
I think they all found it quite fun. So I know that I learned from being in the industry and also in the digital world that which one is safe to post. So those are all filtered. Those I post online are all filters. Not everything I can say, not everything I don't want to risk for people to backlash me when I post something. So before I post, I will have to have a second thought of, especially if it's opinion oriented, right? So I had to have a second thought, like whether I should post my opinion or should I post fact. And if my opinion, is it okay for people to debate about it? Yeah, my friend and family are all supportive. And during COVID, I remember I produced a lot of short content video because nothing to do, can't go out to anywhere. So they were all like, oh, I'm looking forward to see your next video, which is quite cool as well.
That's interesting that you bring that up about filtering a bit what you say or thinking about whether it's a good way to put it. So how do you think about balancing authenticity with what is not controversial? Because I think a lot of times people are attracted to who people are. They want to get to know the real you, and you have the other side of some influencers or content creators. They purposely post very controversial stuff so that they get more engagement and more people arguing or that kind of thing. So how do you think about that?
So it's their style, right? I work with creators as well in my job. So what I always tell people or even tell myself is, are you ready for the consequence if you post something so controversial? Sometimes I posted something controversial and I didn't know that it was a controversy. until I posted about it. It didn't feel really good to have a lot of people like backlash. So but I get it, right? Because people have opinions. So I just let it go. And I always tell people, if you still feel okay to read all that comment and reply back or not, it's your choice. But if you feel like it's not safe or is impact your mental health and all that, you can just block them or use, because in social media, even Instagram, Facebook, or everywhere, you can like use like keyword filters to filter all that. And it will make you you have peace of mind. But at the end of the day, is people have opinion. So I try to be myself most of the time, but I try not to be too strong. And I also sometimes I listen to what people have to say and have a very healthy debate with them. Sometimes. Not my favorite, but sometimes.
That's good advice. And I think that's good, even though you know that about yourself. Like you're putting yourself out there and your content out there, but for you personally, it's not a nice feeling to have people that don't like what you're posting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting
it's
introspection.
The world, right? So it's your opinion can be you can believe in it, but a lot of people might not think the same way. So it's very normal. So if you have that mindset in mind, you'll be feeling better, actually. Yeah.
Exactly.
Some people don't just care about it, which is, I really appreciate that they can just like close one door and open another door by not listening or seeing all those.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned you're full-time, you have a full-time job, which is quite similar to myself. This podcast is just a fun side project I do, and not really planning to or hoping to monetize it or blow up or anything like that. But maybe it can be quite hard to balance a full-time job and doing content creation on the side. How do you get through that?
For me, I also think that content creation is a learning as well for me, because my full-time job, I work with creators and I talk to them all the time. I also learn from, and I also consume a lot of content as well. The content I consume, the content I created, I feel more of people I work with. I learn more about, hey, best practices and like what are the things that I should share with content creators. So I think it's a win-win situation. It didn't really impact it support my role in the company right now.
That's cool. Yeah, so actually speaking of threads, I saw that you post a lot of dating stories and sometimes advice and that sort of thing. Are you getting people to reach out to ask you for advice on their dating or that?
So I think this is very interesting that I didn't really plan to write a lot about dating on threads. But just one day, because thread is very unhinged way to tell about yourself or whatever in life. And just one day, I don't even remember which post made it blow up. So even like when I walk in the office or meet my friends, some people would come and tell me like, I love your thread so much. And it made me like, okay, I need to post more on thread. People reach out, to be honest, I got quite a bit of DM. Like sometimes I post about breakup or all that, and there would be some girls who message me and, hey, not for support, but thanks for post about it. It really made me feel that I'm not alone in this world, or it made me feel like one day I will be able to heal like what you did. And all that, it made me feel good that my reflection of one part of my life can actually help some people or make them feel like in the future, they will be able to heal or they will be able to be themselves again, because I have been through that and they're not alone. So, I got quite a bit of DM, good and weird. Yeah.
So you mentioned having some threads on or some posts on threads blow up, and I saw a couple of your reels also have a ton of views. After you have a post like that gets really big and popular, do you ever find it challenging if you have posts that don't get so much engagement or don't get so many views? Does it feel bad, or are you able to just let it run off your back?
No, I let it run out. So because algorithm and to be honest, I'm not creators who have a niche that I will post about that only. my Instagram is about whatever, about me. It's just the objective of Instagram actually, as I mentioned earlier, is for people, my friends and family back home to follows and friend I made from here in Singapore as well to know what is going on in my life and all that. So I created content. There's a lot of vlogs content, which I didn't really care about it because I just want to post about it. And it's normal. Sometimes I would have sometimes to think about like why, what's the reason behind why this one works, why this one flop. And so sometimes I recreate something. For example, I had one videos that went super viral, like 7 million views, 7.7 million views. And I was like, oh, this is maybe I'll be big. Then I recreate something similar to that video and it flopped. So I'm like, okay, fine. Just don't expect so much out of it. Just be consistent and just post. So I don't feel pressure that I had to be good all the time because even like the biggest influencers or the biggest content creator in the world has flop video.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned already, and I wanted to ask you more about it because you have quite an interesting path where you grew up, I think, in Thailand, but you've also lived in Japan and now in Singapore. I think Thailand and Japan are super popular. Everybody loves to travel to Thailand and Japan. So I wanted to ask you, is there anything that was surprising or that maybe wasn't as nice as people think, having that perspective of actually living there instead of just visiting?
Living and traveling is different, right? So I grew up, I born and raised in Thailand. And so it's definitely home. Every time I'll go back a few times a year. It's near 2 hours. Japan, I lived there for 3 years for school. And there's a lot of, it's living there and traveling there is quite different, right? Traveling there, you just don't have to see what's the flaw, what's some difficulties and all that. But when you live there, there's something that you were not used to. For example, during my time, which is like more than 15 years ago that I lived there, I had to struggle quite a bit on my contact the authorities, on my internet's not working, if I didn't speak Japanese very well, which was a challenge, but it helped me grow. And I felt there was a lot of pressure as a foreigner living in Japan, but I still like it. I still go back to travel to Japan once a year at least, so I can still speak the language. I won't forget it like 100%. For Singapore, I came here as a professional, right? What I like about it is I have space for myself. So working professional, you're away from your home, you're away from your family and friends. You give some space for them to miss you. You give some space. They give some space for me to miss them. And every time when I go back home, I feel like, oh, this is like another trip for me to enjoy the food, enjoy the new thing that's happening. And I don't feel that it's so far away. And yeah, Singapore is one of the best places actually to live and work as a professional. It's great. The facilities, everything is great. And you earn quite decent amount of money. And you can contribute and work on a very more challenging project than when you live at home. For example, when I first moved here, I decided to move here because I was in advertising before. And if I was in advertising back home, I would be able to only work for a Thai market, and it was quite limited. I felt I had ambition. So I wanted to move to somewhere regional hub that I could contribute my views and do it like internationally, regional market, international market, whatever. Then I moved here and then I learned a lot about international market, regional market, and it made me grow as a profession in Singapore. Yeah.
That's cool. How did you end up going to school in Japan?
So I went there twice. When I was in my senior year in university, I was an exchange student in Osaka for 1 year. And after I finished that program, I went back home to finish my first degree. Then all my friends already graduated and then they went elsewhere, right? They went to US, they went to UK. And I think it's a fate or something. So I walked under my university hall and I found it was still old school. You saw the signage thing. Oh, this university is accepting application and scholarship to study master degree in Japan. And yeah, so I went for it and I got it. And so I just went there, and it was nothing new for me because I was there for 1 year already. So it was just half a year gap or something. I still had friends, has community there. So yeah, that's why I ended up
Wow.
for 3 years. Yeah.
That's really fun. And then, so you came to Singapore for work, similar story to mine. Like I think I mentioned already, been here about 10 years, but definitely settled down and planning to stay here. What about you? Do you have future plans or ideas about where you'll end up?
I don't know. Actually, I applied for PR. Actually, if you follow my thread, you would know that I applied for PR and I got rejected.
Oh no.
Sure.
Oh no.
After being here for 9 years. So it was my plan to stay here long term. But without PR, it's probably a bit more difficult to. I work in tech industry now, and the economy and also the industry, there's a lot of layoff. So I don't feel secure at the moment in time. But let's see, because life will bring you to the way that you don't expect. Maybe I'll stay here long term. Maybe I'll get PR next year. Maybe I'll stay here long term, or maybe I will have to go back. So I can't plan so much.
It's
Yeah, I know.
definitely because we got PR in 2021, so we were here about 8 years before that, and it's definitely not easy to feel secure and settled when if something happens and you only have a couple of months to find a new role, or you have to move back, so you never know what will happen.
I have a fun story. It happened to me before. So this is my fourth company in Singapore, right? So my first, I was there for 1.5 years. They shut down. It was in 2018, 2017 or 18, I don't remember. Shut down, so I had to find a new job. And luckily, I spent around 2 months to get the second job. Then the second company I was there for another 11 months, they shut down. And then I had to find job again. And this time around, it took me 6 months to be able to get a new job. Luckily, my third and my fourth still never shut down, and I'm still here. But I've been through that route before, and I spent a lot of time and energy in finding new opportunity to be able to stay here.
Yeah, that's never fun. Did you think about moving back home during that period where you were still working on finding a job?
So I had my timeline, right? Actually, for the first job that I lost, and then I found the next one quite quickly. So I didn't really think about back home at all because it was just 1.5 years. And I felt, hey, I was here for only 1.5 years. It's still too short. There's still a lot of things to learn, and I still have fun being here. So it was 2 months, so fine. For the second one, it took me 6 months to get a new job. And I had a timeline as well. If I don't find job by this month, I will consider going back home because you can't track forever. You only have a cost to pay. So yeah, so I used to plan ahead about my life, but right now things change so quickly. Technology, AI, whatever, things change so quickly. And it's just difficult to plan things ahead of time. So I just go with it, roll with it. If it happened, it doesn't happen, you will still be, I think the word for today is agile. Agile, like you be agile and expect something that can be worse. Expect the worst thing can happen to you. So you won't feel like your world is going to collapse. And agile, and what is another keyword I have to say? I don't know. I'll think about it.
Speaking of which, because you go out to eat a lot and go to all these, have all this amazing looking food, I was wondering what are actually some gems that you found in Singapore that you highly recommend for people to go check out?
I like to try new things, right? And so I hardly go back to the same place over and over again unless it's super good and all my friends come here and, hey, I want to try new food. Talking about food in Singapore, and what I love about Singapore is it's very international. It's regional hub. It's international for business. So there are a lot of options for food. Very international. You can find whatever food here in this small country. So that's the thing I enjoy quite a bit. But recently I went to a pizza place and I really love it. And so when my friends come, I would bring them again. And so I've been there 2 or 3 times already. It's in River Valley. It's called like Vincenzo Pizzeria or something. That it came from from Italy and just opened the first branch in Singapore.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, of course, Singaporeans and Thai and Japanese are all very passionate about their food and all have amazing food in each country. Do you have a favorite cuisine is it Thai what you grew up with, or are there any other favorite cuisines?
Yeah, definitely Thai food. But the thing is, I feel like Thai food in other countries are mostly traditional. That's the taste and everything that people want to find when you are in other countries. Like you want to find pad Thai, you want to find pad krapao. But what I enjoy the most is I try to go back home every quarter. Like once a quarter, I go and update what are trending food back home. And I enjoy it. I feel like, oh my God, the food technology, food creativity back there is like awesome. They would have something new, something yummy, something out of the world all the time that I have to find. So I think it's not the Thai cuisine like anymore, like traditional Thai cuisine, but it's more like mixture of modern twist into the cuisine. And that's what I enjoy the most, to see what people put and make it modern, use like the ingredient that's never used before and made it like more creative. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing restaurants in Bangkok for sure. Do you ever, I think a lot of people when they are living outside of their home country, one of the first things they miss is the food. And for example, I had a guest on before who now is in the food industry. And that's because when she was studying in London, she hadn't cooked before for herself, but she missed the home food so much that she's taught herself to cook and enjoyed it so much that she has turned that into her profession. Have you felt like homesick or loneliness or missed things about home, especially probably the first time when you were a student living outside?
Yeah, definitely. When I was in Japan, I did like her. So I cook a lot. And because there's a lot of Thai food is everywhere, but it's probably not the thing that you want to eat. So I would try new menu, new ingredients and all that when I was there. And I think when I was in Japan, I only go home once a year. So it feel more distance. But I still like Japan is very accessible. A lot of people come visit me, so I don't feel homesick so much. But when I first went there, definitely I cried every night. And oh my God, I can't stay here. 1 year is long. But at the end of the day, you adapt and you teach yourself to enjoy and just live in the moment and get the experience. A lot of my friends that I met in Japan, we're still good friends until today. And there's one fun fact that happened to me last week. So I met one of my my school friends back in Tokyo. So I met her in school 16 years ago in Tokyo. And just a few weeks ago, she messaged me on Instagram. So we lost contact, right, for 16 years. She messaged me on Instagram and she was like, hey, I didn't know that you are in Singapore. I just stumbled upon your post on Instagram that you post about the restaurant that I wanted to go. And then I found that it was you. I was so random. And I was like, oh my God, it's really you. We remember each other. And turned out she lived here for the past 20 years, but she's Indonesian. But I didn't know that she lived here also. And then she didn't know that has been living here for the past 9 years. So we went out for dinner last week, first time in 16 years. And it's quite interesting it happened to be a few times on social media as well, like people found you. So I'm like, okay, my content creation actually reach out to people that knew me before, and then we can keep contact or newly found old people that we know in some time in your life again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fun. Sounds like a great reconnection.
Yeah.
So having been doing content creation for a while, has it taught you anything about yourself that you were surprised as you continue to post and go on new platforms and all that kind of thing?
I feel like I just learned recently, and a lot of people told me, the people that I met who really like my thread, for example, they will say, oh, you are such a good storyteller. So I feel like, yeah, maybe the thing that I like about threads is because previously, when I was in Japan, I had a blog spot, which is you write long blogs. It's about telling stories of what is happening. back then people also like still like to read long thing. And when I came back to Bangkok, I used Twitter for quite some times, and I got quite a decent amount of followers as well before I just stopped posting there. I think I get around almost 40,000 followers on Twitter back then. And when Threads launched, and it's like, yeah, maybe I was early adopter. So I adopted it, post, and try to test the water, what other thing I should post. And it just low lived, and I can tell the story and make it fun twist, and people enjoy it. So I just discovered that, oh, actually, and I look back into my past, that, oh, maybe I'm just a good short storyteller.
That's interesting because now, of course, for the last few years, everybody's talking about short form video and doing a lot of reels and TikToks and things, but maybe the text format sounds like it's a great fit for you.
Yeah, I think so. The video, I also enjoy doing it, but it's a heavy lift for me for a bit. So if I have more time, probably I'll do it more. But as Thread is like low lift, and I can just post whatever, whenever on the bus, on the way to the office and all that. So yeah.
And do you find that most people who reach out to you or engage with your content on Threads or Instagram, for example, are they like local, or are they people from all over the world?
I take a look at the insight actually, and interestingly, so well, definitely for Thread, for example, I think 50% are people in Singapore, and another 30% are people in the US, and then we have some amount of people in Thailand and some other countries. And so I think what people follow me and I see as the return of people who comment, and most of them are like maybe some foreigners living in Singapore, and then we share some experience, life stories. So that's why they feel related to my post. Not only about dating, right? It's about something else like that I talk about being in Singapore. So they feel related to my content. That's why I think I have half of my followers on who lives in Singapore.
Yeah, it's an interesting shared experience. I grew up in the US, and of course, it's known for being a melting pot. But now it seems like every country has a certain amount of locals who are not happy with people coming to their country, and they like to blame things on people. If things aren't going well for them, then it's easy to blame somebody else, which often happens. Have you had any negative experience when you were in Japan or here in Singapore with how you were treated?
Negative, definitely. You will see it everywhere. Even when I went back home, everywhere you will get some negative people either comment to your face, say to your face, comment on your post. But at the end of the day, is how you manage it. It's not everybody is like that. So what the truth that we have to know is some negative people are more louder than positive people. So if they don't feel anything, if they feel good about it, they won't just talk about it, right? So if they have very critical about you, they might be loud, but there's not the representative of everybody in the place that you are. So I met negative people all the time, but you have to keep in mind that they are not the majority of the people, and they're just some amount of people. And you just can't stereotype or generalize people in that countries that they will feel like that to you, or foreigners, or women, or something like that. They just loud. Yeah.
Was that always the attitude that you were able to have? Because it's a very healthy way to look at it. Or is that something you had to learn over time?
Definitely had to learn over time. When I first got like first few negative comment, I would be like, that's just not nice. But you grow up as an adult, and then you live in overseas or meeting a lot of people. You learn from them that opinions are very diverse. I like meeting new people, and I'm an extrovert. Probably like you see it, you hear it. So I like meeting new people. I like to learn from them about their perspective about the world, their perspective about their life, or they have been through. And it's quite fun for me. And then it made me feel that there's a lot of opinion out there. Just how do you handle all that? Are you going to continue talking to these people, or are you going to be like not listening. So that's a thin line of being in the echo chamber or listen to everyone and then ruin your mind. So you have to find the middle ground of like how are you gonna live this life and think about the world.
That's a great point. And actually, that reminds me of something I wanted to ask you with posting for your friends and your family, but also having an audience beyond that. Do you think it ever affects how you live your life or what you're doing or your activities? Maybe I don't really want to go out to eat tonight, but I really should go somewhere and, go post about it. Or maybe I'm going to dress up more than I have to because I'll take a picture there, I'll make a reel there or something like that.
Not really. So sometimes I would have sometimes when I post that I was like, oh, I don't have enough. I don't have enough content for my next few weeks. I would think about it, but then I was just like, yeah, just you have to be chill. And sometimes some weeks I went out more. Some weeks I didn't go out at all. Just come back to how you organize your content and all that. If you still want to be more consistent, you have to have a content calendar. You have to plan it ahead. And some people that I work with, they would plan like the very social media content creators, like professional one. They would have this week, it will be their plan week. This week, it will be their film week. This week, there'll be their edit weeks and all that. So that in 3 weeks, they will have the full content to be posted for the whole month. So that's come to organization. For me, I'm not doing it full time, so I don't have so much stress about it. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I have nothing to post, but that's fine. Not a lot of people wants to know about you every day. So that's what I think. Let them take a break from me sometime.
It's actually quite interesting. Yesterday, for my full-time job, we had a big event here in Singapore that I was running, and we had a fairly well-known speaker who came to give a kind of a motivational, educational talk at the end of the day. And she had quite a scary situation just before this event where there's like a stalker, somebody sending her hate messages and threatening things. And it was quite scary. And you mentioned earlier, I think you said something about getting some weird messages sometimes. How do you think about safety or keep yourself safe?
I had to train myself not to post things full time, especially in Instagram, not full time, real time on Instagram stories, for example. So I will have to leave the place first before I post about it. Creepy people want to know where am I. I have to leave and have some 3 hours of cold time before I post about something. Not everything has to be full time. Everything has to be real time. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. And there was a YouTuber in Thailand came to Singapore and interviewed me last year and do some house tour. So the YouTuber, she was doing like house tour for people who living overseas. So she went to other places and they came to Singapore and, hey, can I take a look at your condo and film it? So what I did was like, sure, but you can only tell the area I lived in, but you can't film the building or you can't film the alley to my condo you can't tell where do I live. So you have to be careful of when you share things or people come and shoot your house because at the end of the day, you don't want just to have one creepy person come in front of you and knock on, hey, I watched your video.
That's quite scary. Did something in particular happen? You just...
Not yet.
After you got more... Okay, that's very good to hear.
Not yet. I hope it won't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. I'm going to have to teach my daughter about that as she gets older, for sure. One thing I always like to ask all my guests is, if I talk to you again in 5 years, what would you like to be able to tell me has happened from now that would make you feel successful? Or you would consider those 5 years a success by whatever personal, professional, whatever kind of thing you think of?
It's like a job interview, right? Like when you go in and people ask you, what do you see yourself in 5 years? For me, I feel like I won't be able to answer your question because things change so much and very quickly. So when I think like the questions of like when you go to interviewing people, how do you see yourself in 5 years, kind of outdated because right now you see things in like maybe a few months in advance. If you set up goals for your team, and then 6 months did you reach the goal or not? For me, I don't know. I just don't think ahead so much. Try to live my life consciously, and also try to enjoy it every day. So if in 5 years you come back to me, and probably you will have to ask me like, do I still enjoying what I'm doing right now?
Great. Yeah, that's why I like to ask this question, because it's very interesting to see how people view success, whether they're talking about achievements or career. But I think deep down, if you get being happy with yourself and what you're doing is a very good goal that we can all keep.
Maybe in 5 years, there'll be another platform that you create. And I won't post on Instagram, on Threads anymore. I post on new platform and become big. You never know.
So is growing big a goal, or
Not really.
if it happens?
It happens to happen. So the Facebook page that I did, which is called Boring Singapore, I got some sponsorship reach out sometimes from like Tourism Singapore, something like that previously. But I just take it like, just a little pocket money. I didn't really try to, because I have full-time job. I'm not like a full-time influencer, not full-time content creators. If you're a full-time content creator, you have to put more effort on like finding sponsorship, finding brand deals and all that. For me, I'm just reactive about it. Big or small, I don't care. If being big make me have to change myself the way I am, the story I tell, probably don't want to go to that part, because I still want to be able to enjoy what I'm doing when I'm still in this mode.
Awesome. So can you let the listeners know where to find you on, we've been talking mostly about Instagram, Threads, or we'll put it in the show notes, but for people who are listening, how do they find you?
Yeah, so I mentioned a few times about my page, but it's in Thai, right? So it's Facebook page called Boring Singapore. Not like Singapore is boring, but a lot of people told me before I moved here that Singapore is boring. So the reason I made that page is because I want to tell people that there's a lot of things to do in Singapore. It's not that boring. So hence the Facebook page. I have Instagram, which I post about the same thing but in English, it's called boring_SG_official. That one is Instagram. And those are the Boring Singapore world. But for my personal, I have Instagram and Threads at Bovi Honey Baby, which is my personal and day-to-day what's going on. Sometimes I post funny stuff. Sometimes I post about what I eat in a day, or the new hair tools that I found.
Awesome. Yeah, so we'll put it in the show notes and everybody go check it out. Thanks so much for joining me, Bo. It was great to talk to you.
Thanks so much.
And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Before We Get There with your host, Nicholas Brayman. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Before We Get There Podcast. New episodes are released every other Thursday morning. See you next time.